Friends, watch this video till the end or else she will eat us. Oh no! Hello friends, today we have a new exciting adventure. Dobie and I found ourselves in the game Roblox in the Escape the Girls Prison mode. But don't be fooled by the name. This place is not as cute as it sounds. The prison is scary, full of traps and challenges, and we were put in its most dangerous part.
Hi, everyone. Yes, the prison here is far from girly. We quickly realized that this was going to be a tough challenge. Everyone knows we always get out of the most difficult situations, and that's why we were sent here. But even under such conditions, we found a way to start our escape. In the cake that was sent to us, there was a shovel. We used it to dig through the floor, and that's when all the trials and parkour started.
Yes, Dobie, it was unexpected to find a shovel in the cake, but that didn't stop us. As soon as we got out of the cell, we found ourselves in a network of corridors and rooms full of traps. Everything around looked intimidating. Gloomy walls, dark corners, and the constant feeling that we were being watched.
Exactly, Labrador. The entire interior of this prison leaves no doubt. They want to keep us here at any cost. We've seen a lot of scary places, but this is probably one of the creepiest. We went through several narrow tunnels and dark corridors, but we never doubted our success. We're already used to such trials.
As we progressed, we had to face various obstacles, but each time we found a way to overcome them. It was important to stay calm and keep our wits about us. We trusted each other and knew that together we could handle any difficulties.
Our determination and faith in each other are what keep us moving forward. We've proven time and time again that we can get out of any situation. This time will be no exception. In the prison, we faced not only physical but also psychological challenges. The constant pressure and fear were our companions, but we didn't give up.
With each step, we got closer to freedom. Going through all these trials, we learned to understand each other better and work as a team. It was a real test of our friendship and cooperation.
That's right, Labrador. Now we know that we can handle any difficulty if we stick together. We'll have to fight all the prison guards. If anyone thinks girls are weak, watch this video and you'll never think that again.
As you already know, this prison was specifically designed for girls. It was built to contain those who, in the eyes of its creators, pose a particular danger due to their skills or abilities. Despite its name, the girls' prison has become a place for those who have repeatedly proven their ability to escape from any traps and find a way out of the most difficult situations.
Exactly. But why are Labrador and I here? The fact is, our successes in escaping various prisons have become known throughout Roblox. We have become legends, and our adversaries decided to test us in the most extreme conditions. They wanted to ensure that even in this terrifying prison, created with maximum caution and thoughtfulness, we wouldn't be able to find a way out.
Of course, it wasn't easy for us. We understood that here we would face the most challenging trials they could come up with. Every corner, every door, and every corridor was filled with traps and obstacles. They hoped that in such a place, we wouldn't be able to use our skills and would be trapped forever.
But they underestimated our determination and teamwork. Together, we are a force capable of overcoming any barriers. We knew we couldn't let down those who believe in us and follow our adventures. And although this prison was built for girls, it couldn't break our spirit and our will to be free. Subscribe, friends, and we will definitely get out of here. Or will we? Find out at the end of the video.
Our animal city never stopped surprising us, but what happened this time exceeded all our expectations. What started as an ordinary day turned into something completely bizarre. I woke up and discovered that the entire city had changed. And not just changed, every single resident had suddenly turned into a girl. Yes, that's right. Every animal, whether it was a lion, a rabbit, or even a bear, suddenly became female.
At first, I thought it was a dream or some cruel prank, but when I stepped outside, I saw that the changes had affected everyone. Not only the animals, but I myself had turned into a woman. We needed to figure out what had happened immediately. Labrador and I started an investigation right away. We first interviewed witnesses and learned that the transformation happened in just a matter of minutes.
Yes, I remember talking to Professor Owl, who said that this could only have happened due to a powerful magical influence or an unknown chemical substance. We went to the professor's lab to investigate possible causes. He was one of the few who remained calm in such a situation.
In the lab, we conducted numerous tests. The professor checked the air, water, and even food for any anomalies, but everything seemed normal. Then, the professor suggested we examine the magical artifacts stored in the city's museum. There were many ancient and powerful items there that could have had such an effect.
When we arrived at the museum, we discovered that one of the artifacts was missing. It was an ancient amulet with the ability to change one's gender. We immediately began searching for signs of theft. On the museum floor, we found a few drops of unknown liquid and paw prints leading into the forest.
We followed the trail, and it led us to an old abandoned house on the edge of the forest. There, we found a group of unknown creatures who, as it turned out, had stolen the amulet. They had used it for their own purposes, but lost control of its power, which caused the mass transformation in the city.
After long negotiations and explanations, we convinced them to return the amulet and help us restore the original order. With their help and the professor's knowledge, we devised a plan to reverse the spell. The amulet had to be activated at a specific time under the light of a full moon.
On the appointed day, we gathered all the city residents in the main square. The professor activated the amulet, and under the light of the full moon, the spell began to work. Gradually, everyone started to return to their original forms. It was an amazing sight.
After everyone had returned to their original forms, we discussed what had happened for a long time. The professor suggested that the amulet be kept in a more secure place to prevent such an incident from happening again. This event taught us a lot and brought the city's residents closer together.
So, dear subscribers, sometimes the most unexpected events can bring us all together and teach us to appreciate what we have. We're grateful to everyone who helped us in this situation, and we hope there won't be any more surprises like this.
Dear subscribers, Dobie and I have an incredible story for you. You know, in our animal city, something unusual always happens. But what happened this time even left Dobie and me stunned. At one point, the boys in our city suddenly started acting strangely. We noticed they became overly mischievous, disobedient, and began causing problems for the entire community. Everyone tried to handle the situation, but nothing seemed to work. In the end, a decision was made. All the boys needed to be gathered and locked up in a specially built prison.
Labrador and I were on duty when we received the order from the city's elders. All the boys had to be sent to prison, and only girls would guard them. The boys had become a real threat. They wouldn't listen to their elders, their parents, and even started small rebellions.
So, Dobie and I were given the task of ensuring the safe transport of all the boys to the prison. At that time, we didn't know exactly how everything would unfold. But, as always, we had to act quickly and efficiently. We knew the girls would handle it. They were smart, strong, and determined.
When we arrived at the prison, the situation there was tense. The boys, as you can imagine, weren't going to surrender without a fight. They were confident they could escape or somehow defeat the girls. But the girls guarding the prison gave them no chance. Labrador and I closely monitored the situation, but trusted the girls in their responsibility.
At first, of course, the boys resisted. They didn't want to follow the rules and even tried to stage small protests. But the girls, as true leaders, showed their willpower and wisdom. They didn't resort to violence, but used their communication skills and patience. Over time, the boys began to realize that in order to get out of prison, they had to change their behavior.
Yes, exactly. At one point, when we were observing their interactions, it became clear that the very fact that the boys were in prison played a big role. Being in such an unusual position, they realized that only by working together could they achieve freedom. The girls taught them the importance of respecting one another and cooperating, as well as understanding how crucial it was to follow the rules for the common good. This was a real turning point in the history of our city. After a few weeks, we saw how the boys began to change. They started listening, helping each other, and acting as a team. Dobie and I often visited the prison to make sure everything was going according to plan. When we finally concluded that the boys had learned their lesson, we made the decision to release them. The girls were proud of their work, and the boys were grateful for the chance to change.
Yes, and with that, we wrap up our adventure. If it weren't for your comments and likes, it would have been much harder for us. But it's your words that inspired us to keep going and not give up, no matter what. Thank you for your support.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, leave likes, and follow our new adventures. We promise that even more exciting and challenging trials await us ahead. So, stay with us.
See you soon, friends. Don't miss our next videos. They'll be even more thrilling. Guys, please watch till the end so this evil grandma doesn't catch us. Hello, everyone. This is Sheriff Labrador.
Guess who we're running from today?
Yes, I'm not alone. Dobie is with me. We're trapped in the house of an evil grandmother, and our goal is to escape. We need to be quiet so we don't wake her up, but it won't be easy.
You think she's just an old granny? But that's not the case. You should see what she's done to this house. Grandma has set up real challenges in her home.
She hated her grandchildren and decided to feed them cookies until they popped like balloons. But we managed to save them, and today we will stop her evil.
Let's start the escape. Oh, look, it's a photo of that old man we already ran away from. Looks like they're married.
Oh no, I hope she doesn't wake up. I remember how we escaped from that old man. Be sure to watch it on our WoW channel.
Looks like this valve leads to the attic. I hope Grandma doesn't catch us here. Oh, she even set up mines. Why do you think this old woman locked us in a cage?
She probably loves cats. There are pictures of them hanging around, though all grandmas love cats. Maybe she wanted to make soup out of us.
Look, we're high up, and there are spikes below us.
I hope we don't fall right into Grandma's mouth when we get out of the vent.
Me too. It would be tragic if she ate us right away.
There's a lot of dust in the vent. It's annoying me.
Oh, look, Grandma is right in front of us. I hope she doesn't wake up.
Let's jump on her stomach. Oh, unexpectedly, she didn't notice us.
Look, teeth in a jar. Ew, that's disgusting.
We need to hurry before she wakes up. She's running right after us.
Oh no, green snotty cookies. Better not step on them. She even farts. She might grab our tails. Look, a red button. We need to press it quickly.
This button opened a passage. Let's run there before Grandma catches us.
Look, Grandma turned red. We need to jump next to her.
Now she doesn't even pay attention to us.
There are a lot of cookies here. I was right. She loves cookies.
The evil grandma is so clumsy she even dropped a glass of milk.
She forgot about us. She's not even trying to catch us. Oh, look, a huge fan that will lift us up. There are traps along the way, but we won't give up.
We'll easily overcome them. I completely agree with you, Dobie. There are no obstacles we can't overcome.
Oh, we almost fell back. We need to be more careful.
Hooray, we overcame the traps.
Don't celebrate too early. Let's see what's behind the door.
Look, we're in some kind of dungeon.
Let's jump on these geysers. I think they'll help us move forward.
Hey, Dobie, don't you think it's getting too hot in here?
Yes, it's very hot here. Let's get out of here quickly and have some ice cream.
Whew, the board broke under us. I hope it doesn't happen again.
Look, a vent. I think we should climb into it.
The vent is dusty again. I hope there are no spiders here.
I wouldn't want to see a giant spider.
Oh no, we fell into the room where Grandma knits.
I hope we don't meet her here.
I wouldn't want her to knit a scarf out of us. Listen, something's rolling. A giant ball of yarn.
We didn't make it to the safe place. I hope we'll be luckier next time.
It's convenient that there are holes in the walls here. Otherwise, we would have been crushed long ago.
I see the exit. We can tell some interesting stories because a battle with Grandma awaits us ahead.
Once, in one of the neighboring districts, strange things began happening. At first, it seemed like an ordinary event. Rumors started spreading about an old woman who had settled at the edge of the town. She looked perfectly normal. Gray hair, glasses on her nose, and a hooked nose, just like any other grandmother. But as the days went by, people started noticing odd things. She never talked to anyone, and the children who went into her house started disappearing. Parents were in a panic, but no one could figure out what was going on.
Sheriff Labrador and I decided to investigate. At first, we thought it was just rumors and overreactions. But when we peeked inside this grandmother's house, we discovered something inexplicable. In one corner, there were strange potions. In another, books on magic. And on the walls were portraits of children who clearly had stopped growing. We quickly realized that she was no ordinary grandmother. In fact, she was a witch who used her charm and disguise to lure children into traps.
We began keeping an eye on her. She hid her true nature by pretending to be a kind old lady, but as soon as children entered her house, she used spells to turn them into statues made of cotton. In this place, they became useless toys, which she could display in her shop window or use for her dark rituals. The more we investigated, the more oddities we uncovered. The grandmother witch was a master of transformations, and her powers were dangerous for the entire town.
Once we learned about her sinister plans, we had to come up with a way to stop her without putting the children at risk. We decided to sneak into her house at night when she would be sleeping. While Labrador distracted her, I found a hidden passage that led straight to her basement. There, I discovered a magical circle that was being used for the transformations. We realized that to stop her spells from working, we needed to destroy the circle and reverse everything.
While Dobby figured out how to destroy the circle, I kept the witch occupied. She didn't immediately realize that we had uncovered her. But as soon as she did, her face turned sinister. The grandmother started transforming. Her body became more twisted, and her eyes filled with bright yellow light. We knew we had to act fast, or she might regain control of the town.
Time was running out. I rushed to the magical circle and, using everything I knew about magic, managed to destroy it. As soon as the circle was destroyed, the witch screamed and tried to break free, but her power was weakened. All the transformed children returned to their normal forms, and she herself turned to ash, disappearing into the air. We were in shock at how close we had come to a disaster.
Once everything was over, we returned the children to their parents, and everyone breathed a sigh of relief. But we knew that there could be other dark forces lurking under disguises in our town. We decided to stay even more alert and prepared for such events. After all, we must always protect our citizens from such dangers.
This case was a real lesson for us. It reminded us that the world can be full of hidden and dark threats, and we must be ready for any surprises. Labrador and I promised ourselves to always stand guard and protect our town from any evil creatures that may threaten it.
Another mega cool story. It all started when a strange pizzeria appeared on the outskirts of town. At first, it seemed like just another ordinary place. But as soon as Dobby and I started patrolling the area, we immediately felt something was off. People who entered the pizzeria came out with huge smiles on their faces. But what caught our attention was that they were literally swelling up before our eyes, becoming more and more round.
Labrador and I decided to find out what was going on. Soon we discovered that this pizzeria didn't belong to ordinary people, but to cyber robots disguised as grandmothers. These robots were programmed to feed anyone who fell into their trap with a special meal. But the food they served wasn't just delicious. It started filling people's stomachs with air, making them swell up like balloons.
All this time, Dobby and I couldn't understand what kind of technology was behind these strange robots. We started observing them and soon realized that these cyber grandmothers were designed to lure townspeople into a trap. Every time someone ate their pizza, the cyber grandmothers used hidden mechanisms to fill their bellies with air, causing them to expand to enormous sizes. And strangely, no one could stop themselves. Eventually, they would just pop like balloons.
Labrador and I started planning how to stop this horrible machine. We realized that if we didn't intervene right away, the whole town could turn into one giant bubble that couldn't withstand the pressure. To stop it, we needed to break into the pizzeria and destroy the main source of this evil plot. We knew the cyber grandmothers would be guarding the place with incredible strength, but we couldn't let this threat continue.
Once we snuck inside the pizzeria, we saw the main cyber robot, the grandmother, standing at the counter, serving food to the customers. We immediately knew she had to be destroyed to end this. But as soon as we got closer, she started making strange noises, and her metal parts began moving like a real robot. That's when we realized she wasn't just serving food. She was also activating a hidden mechanism that accelerated the inflation process.
It wasn't an easy task. I noticed an old, eerie computer near the pizzeria, which seemed to control all the cyber robots. Labrador and I decided the best way to win was to destroy the system controlling them. I ran over to the computer and, with the help of an old hacker tool, managed to shut off the power. At that moment, all the robots lost control, and they could no longer serve the food that caused people to inflate.
Once we disabled the main power source of these evil robots, the whole pizzeria fell silent, and the townspeople started returning to their normal sizes. Those who were on the verge of bursting began to feel fine, and their former shapes returned. In the end, we were able to restore order to the town. The cyber grandmothers no longer posed a threat to our world. But we knew this story wasn't over, and we had to be ready for new threats that could come from the most unexpected corners.
And that's how this tough battle with the cyber grandmothers came to an end. Labrador and I knew we couldn't stop there. We kept patrolling the streets of the town, because in the world of animals, there's always room for new dangers. But this time, we managed to win. our town was safe again, and all the residents could breathe easy, knowing we're always on guard.
We managed to get through and escape from that evil grandma. Thanks for watching till the end. But this isn't over yet. There's another mode ahead. Let's go. Evil Grandpa is already near. Watch the video to the end to save us. Hello, friends. Today, we have found ourselves in a terrifying mode in Roblox. Escape from Evil Grandpa. It turns out this grandpa is not as simple as he seems at first glance. He was abandoned by his grandchildren and children, and now he lives alone in an old, gloomy house. And what did he do? He turned his house into a real nightmare.
Hi, friends. Yes, Labrador is right. This grandpa turned out to be not only evil, but also quite inventive. He has set up many traps and obstacle courses in his house that we need to overcome. But the most interesting part is that he spent his whole life building a giant robot. Can you imagine? In the end, we will probably have to fight this robot. Labrador, run faster so he doesn't catch us. I'm scared.
Grandpa's house is full of strange and dangerous places. For example, he has made floors out of lava and various poisonous liquids. This is not just a house, it's a real death maze. The walls are decorated with paintings of his relatives and friends. It seems Grandpa hasn't completely forgotten about his past.
And these paintings don't just seem to be decorations. They create a strange feeling, as if we're constantly being watched. Grandpa clearly didn't want anyone to find the way out of his house. But Labrador and I aren't the type to give up. We will look for the exit and uncover all the secrets of this place.
It's interesting that Grandpa also engaged in various experiments. Throughout the house, there are traces of his scientific research. It seems he was trying to create something dangerous and powerful. Perhaps that's why he decided to build a giant robot. This house is like a mad scientist's laboratory.
Yes, Labrador, and this makes our adventure even more exciting. We have to be careful and vigilant to avoid falling into his traps. But we will manage. After all, we are a real team, and despite all the dangers, we will move forward and find the way out.
We have a lot to learn about Grandpa and his past. Who knows? Maybe he's just seeking attention and understanding. But one thing is for sure, his house is full of surprises, and every step could be a challenge for us. We need to stay alert and be ready for anything.
Our adventure is just beginning, and we are ready to overcome all the obstacles that Grandpa has prepared for us. Because ahead of us is a meeting with his giant robot. It won't be easy, but we will manage. Or will we? Guys, you definitely need to like and comment to make sure we succeed.
So, friends, we continue our exploration of this creepy house. We have already gone through several rooms, and each one was full of surprises. I especially remember the room with the lava floor. This grandpa clearly loved complex and dangerous mechanisms.
Yes, Labrador, it was just awful. I would never have thought that Grandpa could set such a trap in his house. But we managed, and that's the main thing. And you know what else caught my eye? The paintings. They show Grandpa with various people. Maybe it's his family, or maybe friends. It seems like each painting hides its own story.
These paintings are indeed strange. It seemed to me that in some of them, Grandpa looks like a completely different person, kind and cheerful. What happened that made him so evil? Perhaps loneliness and resentment did their job. But we need to move on and find the way out.
I noticed those changes in his face too. It seems he wasn't always like this. But now we need to focus on our path. There are still many traps and obstacles ahead. And of course, we must not forget about the giant robot that Grandpa has been building all his life. This will be our main challenge.
But first, we need to get out of this house. I think Grandpa left clues somewhere here. Maybe in the basement or the attic. These places always hold something important. We need to carefully inspect every room and not miss a single detail.
I agree, Labrador. We have to be attentive. Every little thing could be the key to solving the mystery. And also, we need to be ready for any surprises. Grandpa could set an ambush at any moment, but we will manage because we have a plan and a team.
Oh, how memorable this story is. As you know, our town is always full of interesting events, but this case truly surprised us. It all started at school when a new physical education teacher named Grandpa Steele appeared. At first glance, he was a kind old man, and all the children immediately liked him because of his gentle eyes and calm voice. But that was just a facade, behind which hid a real mystery.
Yes, Labrador. At first, we didn't even notice that something was wrong. Grandpa Steele was quite an unusual PE teacher. Instead of regular exercises during class, he suggested that the children do their training outdoors, running around the city and completing strange tasks. At first, everything seemed harmless, but with each passing day, his tasks became more and more bizarre. He asked the children to collect things from the streets: bags, phones, wallets, anything small enough so that passers-by wouldn't notice.
The small tasks started with simple requests. Bring me something interesting, or take this as a souvenir. But soon when the children began bringing him other people's things, it started to raise suspicions. One of the students, Sam, accidentally told his parents that he had brought someone's glasses from the park because Grandpa Steele said it was part of the training. The parents immediately suspected something was wrong. They came to us with a complaint, and we started an investigation.
When we began investigating, it became clear that Grandpa Steele wasn't just teaching physical education. He was manipulating the children, making them steal things from passers-by, and those things later ended up in his class. He claimed it was a way for the children to develop agility, but in reality, it was a scheme to collect valuable items while also gaining power. The children felt they were learning something important, not realizing they were becoming part of a criminal activity.
We couldn't just let this go. The day I discovered a couple of bags and phones in the classroom, I realized we needed to intervene. Dobie and I started keeping an eye on Grandpa Steele and his students. We noticed how he spent more and more time outside with the kids, directing them on their hunt. There was no doubt that Grandpa was using his position as a teacher to manipulate the students.
And then came the moment when we decided to take action. We set up a trap. On the day of the next training session, we planted hidden cameras in the area where he usually held the lessons. When Grandpa Steele and the children approached one of the shopping rows, we saw him quietly push the students towards stealing. He even told one of them, "Pick up that bag, it'll come in handy." At that moment, it became clear that we needed to intervene immediately.
When we approached and asked Steele about his actions, he immediately began to justify himself, claiming that his methods were just a training exercise to make the children more agile. But we knew that, in reality, he was using the children for his own gain. We called the police right away, and while they were on their way, we helped the children return all the stolen items to their owners. It wasn't easy, but we couldn't leave the kids in that situation.
After we dealt with Grandpa Steele, all the children returned the stolen items. We talked to them and explained that it's important not only to train your physical abilities, but also to develop moral values. Grandpa Steele was, of course, arrested, and the school held a general assembly for students and parents. We told everyone how important it is not to fall for manipulation and to always remember your principles.
Like I said, there's never a dull moment in our town. That day, strange fiery spots appeared in the sky, and before we knew it, a giant spaceship hovered over the city. It turned out that the aliens weren't here in peace. Their mission was rather unusual. They wanted to take all our grandfathers and grandmothers to a cosmic retirement home.
Yes, Labrador, the aliens were planning to take the elderly, promising them comfort and peace. But the elderly didn't want to leave. The problem was that they were somewhat swayed by the promises, and the aliens began acting, trying to take them right off the streets.
Of course, we couldn't let that happen. Dobie and I immediately began gathering the elderly and explaining that we needed to take action. But the aliens weren't going to back down so easily, and one of our elderly ladies was already on her way to their ship when Dobie and I intervened.
That's when the idea struck me. We quickly gathered the elderly who could help and started devising a plan. Using antennas and old televisions, we set a trap for the aliens. They must have thought they had found an important signal and started following it, just as we had planned.
When they got close, the elderly activated their traps, and Dobie and I sprang into action. The aliens started panicking, and we caught one of them. It immediately threw them off balance.
After that, we set up a real finale. We cornered the alien ship in the town and created interference with their communications. They tried to leave, but their ships began losing stability.
And so, we not only protected our elderly, but we also sent the aliens off peacefully. In the end, no one had to go to the cosmic retirement home, and the elderly threw a celebration in honor of their victory.
Yes, that day was a real lesson for the aliens. The elderly in our town aren't just old people, they are real heroes. And for you and me, Labrador, it was yet another example of how important it is to act together.
Well, friends, our adventure in the Escape from Evil Grandpa mode has come to an end for today. We learned a lot about his past, and went through many challenges.
Thank you for being with us every step of the way. Your likes and comments help us get better and braver.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you won't miss out on new exciting adventures in Roblox and other games. There's still plenty of fun ahead.
See you next time, friends. We'll definitely meet again in new thrilling adventures.
Grandma is very close. Watch the video until the end so I can escape from her. Hello, friends. Today, Dobie and I find ourselves in the house of the meanest grandma in Roblox. She was so unpopular and lonely that over time she became very evil and crazy. Her house has turned into a real obstacle course, and to escape, we will need to work together.
Yes, Labrador, this grandma is really crazy. Every corner of her house is dangerous, and everything here requires teamwork. For example, pressing buttons to activate blocks that we need to jump on. If we work together, we have a chance to get out.
Exactly, but this house is not only dangerous but also very beautiful. It's big, with many rooms and corridors decorated in a strange style. Despite all this beauty, we must be careful every step of the way because Grandma won't leave us alone.
She has become really scary. She's no longer just a grandma, but a real boss that we will have to fight at the end. She did everything to make sure we couldn't escape, but we're not the kind to give up, right, Labrador?
Absolutely. We've been through a lot already, and this evil grandma won't stop us. The main thing is not to lose our heads and to act in sync. We need to find buttons, activate blocks, and support each other at every stage.
And then we will succeed. We can overcome all obstacles and come out victorious from this strange and dangerous house. Teamwork is our key to success, and we'll show this grandma that she shouldn't mess with us. Exactly. There are surely many hidden buttons in this hall that need to be activated to move forward. But the most important thing is not to be afraid. We've already come so far, and we won't stop halfway.
Now we've reached the main hall. It's particularly scary here. Grandma could pop out of a window at any moment. Grandma has clearly made an effort to create a terrifying atmosphere. We need to stay alert because every room could hide new dangers. And now, when we're almost at the exit, we face the final challenger, Grandma herself. She stands at the door, glaring at us menacingly, not intending to let us go. We will need to use all our strength and skills to fight her and come out victorious.
But we can handle it. After all, we are a team. We can support each other, find weak spots, and use them to our advantage. This grandma doesn't know who she's dealing with yet. Friends, be sure to subscribe to our channel, like, and comment. It gives us strength.
I'm going to tell you a story that you definitely haven't heard before. This story started at the most unexpected moment. It was an ordinary day, everything seemed calm. But as soon as I woke up, I received an alarming call. There was an emergency at the town prison. 2 dangerous criminals, who had been convicted for a series of bold robberies, somehow escaped. Dobie and I immediately started the investigation, but when we found out how they operated, we just couldn't believe our ears.
It was truly something strange. After Labrador told me about the incident, we immediately began searching the town. What did we find out? These 2, who had escaped from prison, decided to use a trick. They disguised themselves as elderly people. Their plan was simple. No one would suspect old folks, especially in our town where everyone is used to kind and quiet grandmothers and grandfathers. But it was just an outward deception.
Yes, exactly. They started walking around the town, gathering information on houses where they could commit robberies. We began noticing strange events. In one house, money disappeared. In another, valuable items vanished. That's when I realized these 2 were behind it all. But how could we find them if they were hiding behind the mask of ordinary elderly people? It was like looking for a needle in a haystack.
At first, we tried checking the elderly people who had recently arrived in the town, but they were all clean. The problem was that the criminals had disguised themselves very well. We couldn't catch them doing anything suspicious. But soon, Labrador noticed something strange. In one neighborhood, where everything seemed quiet and peaceful, suddenly strange disappearances began occurring. The elderly people's apartments would suddenly be empty. Their belongings were gone, and they supposedly went to visit relatives.
That's when it became clear to me that we needed to act more carefully. These 2 criminals must have been leaving some trace, so Dobie and I decided to focus on the houses where these disappearances had occurred. We began checking each location, but here was the catch. How could we tell which elderly people were real and which ones were criminals in disguise? It was like a game of cat and mouse.
That's when I came up with an idea to organize a small event for the elderly, a gathering so everyone would come. I was sure that among them, we would find those who were hiding something. We arranged a celebration in the town center and invited all the elderly folks. Among them were many kind and sweet residents, but there were two who stood out. They were too active, asking too many questions, walking around, avoiding talking to others.
And right then, Dobie and I knew. They were the ones, the escaped criminals. We approached them, and as soon as they noticed us, they suddenly changed their behavior. They started getting nervous and even tried to escape. We immediately called for backup and apprehended them. Once they were in our hands, they couldn't escape the law. It was like a movie, only the reality was much scarier.
Yes, and when we arrested them, they couldn't believe they were caught. Their crimes turned out to be numerous, and all of them were hidden behind the mask of harmless old folks. Labrador and I managed to catch them and return all the stolen goods. Now, these two criminals are back in prison and won't harm anyone again.
This story began on a typical morning when something incredible happened in our town. I woke up as usual and went for my morning run. But within a few minutes, I noticed something was wrong. Everyone around me started aging. My friend, Old Beaver, looked even older, and the young animals in our town began to wrinkle. I immediately knew this was no coincidence.
Labrador called me, and I rushed over to him. The scene was just horrifying. On the streets of our town, all the animals looked like old folks. I had never seen anything like it. We needed to quickly figure out what had happened. We met with Dr. Fox, who confirmed our fears. Someone had poisoned the air in our town. He said this substance caused animals' bodies to age at an alarming rate.
We started the investigation by visiting all the key places in town. First, we visited the clean air factory on the outskirts of town. There we found traces of some strange substance that was clearly not part of the normal production. The factory was run by Old Raccoon, who seemed unaware of what was happening. But we couldn't rule anyone out as a suspect.
Next, we went to the lab where Dr. Fox was analyzing the found substance. He said it was a complex chemical compound that could only be produced by a highly qualified chemist. We began interviewing everyone who could have access to such chemicals. This led us to Professor Skunk, who had recently come to town for a scientific conference. We decided he might know something about this.
When we arrived at the professor's, he looked worried and frightened. He told us that he was working on a new type of fuel that accidentally had a side effect. It aged living organisms. He claimed he never meant to harm anyone, and that his invention had been stolen. He gave us a lead that pointed to an old warehouse on the edge of town, where he suspected the stolen substance might be hidden.
We quickly reached the warehouse and found not only the stolen substance, but also a suspect. It was one of the former employees of the Clean Air Factory, who wanted revenge for being fired. He wanted to tarnish the town's and the factory's reputation, but didn't realize the terrible effect his actions would cause. We apprehended him and handed him over to the authorities.
Then began the difficult task of cleaning the air. Dr. Fox and Professor Skunk together developed an antidote, which we distributed throughout the town. Gradually, all the residents started returning to their normal ages. It was truly a miracle. Our town came back to life and everyone thanked us for saving them.
This story taught us many things. We realized how important it is to be vigilant and take care of our town's safety. And although that morning started with horror, it ended with our town becoming stronger and more united. Labrador and I will continue to protect it from any threats, because there is nothing more important to us than the safety of our residents.
It was an unusual incident when that strange old lady appeared in our town. They said she was elderly, but her eyes glowed with a sinister light. She would come to the children, promising to grant wishes, but every time someone asked for her help, something horrible would happen.
When Labrador and I arrived at her house, we realized something was off. Black plants were growing around the house, and the air felt thick. She stood at the door, staring at us, but not moving. We decided that we needed to uncover her magic.
When Dobie and I entered the old lady's house, we immediately felt that something was off. It was dark and stuffy inside. We found an old spell book, and soon realized that the old lady was a witch, using magic to age people and steal their life force. This explained all the strange happenings in the town. We knew we had to break her spells as quickly as possible.
With the power of our will, we managed to destroy her magic. At that moment, the old lady vanished, and with her, all her charms disappeared. When we returned to town, people began to go back to their normal lives. It all ended like a bad dream.
Well, friends, we finally made it out of that scary house and defeated the evil grandmother. I hope you enjoyed this adventure. We'll be happy to see you in our next videos.
Absolutely right, Labrador. Thank you for being with us. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on our new adventures. For now, take care and see you next time.
Friends, quickly hit the like button and watch the video until the end so that the evil doll lets me go. What? Where are we, Dobie?
I don't know, but it looks like a children's room with toys everywhere.
Wait, this is something strange. It looks like we've ended up in a room full of evil dolls. Hey everyone, today Dobie and I are trying to escape from the house of evil dolls.
Wow, what's ahead of us? Many scary trials and puzzles. Our goal is not just to get out, but to defeat the evilest doll.
Look at this room. It has a strange atmosphere, kind of like childhood memories.
I agree. We've come back to our childhood, but this is definitely not the place we'd want to be.
It seems like we need to go through this narrow passage. It looks like it leads straight to the house. I hope the doll doesn't start hunting us right away.
We found some candy. I wouldn't try it. Who knows? Maybe she poisoned them. We need to collect 10 of these candies.
Looks like we need to jump here. Let's put that off for now and explore the house. Maybe we'll find something useful.
Here's another candy. Yay! A checkpoint. This means if we die, we can come back here. Look at how much she loves her portraits. Seems like you took your words too literally. It wasn't worth dying just to check. I thought you could go through there. There's another hole ahead. Should we go down? It looks like a place straight from hell, but not exactly.
There's a mountain of dishes here.
For me, a mountain of dishes is real hell.
I hate washing dishes. I actually like it. I turn on my favorite music and sing along. It really lifts my mood.
Strange. Looks like no one's cleaned here in years. Maybe she just buys new dishes instead of washing the old ones.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can't find another explanation for this mess.
It seems like we still have a long way to go. I can't see the end. These arrows seem hypnotic, like they were made to cause hallucinations.
Did you notice? The floor is like lava, but roses are growing in it. Looks like hallucinations.
I see them too. Nice, we've reached another checkpoint. Seems like the end is near. I hope there's no parkour ahead.
I'm a little tired already. These toys, I feel like there's something sinister about them. Maybe the souls of children are trapped inside.
Brr, creepy. By the way, did you know that the toys in the game Poppy Playtime aren't actually bloody, but a mix of red poppy? I've been studying the plot of this game recently. It's pretty interesting.
No, I didn't know that. I'll have to check it out sometime. But look, we've been tricked. This isn't the end. However, I can see a house in the distance. Looks like we need to head there.
Let's hurry. I even see a Ferris wheel. That looks like an interesting place. I wish the amusement park were near the police station. Hey, Labrador, have you ever thought about candy?
Of course, who doesn't love it? Do you have a favorite candy?
I think my favorites are chocolate candies with nuts. What about you?
I prefer caramel candies. They're so tasty, like sweet music in the middle of the workday.
Sometimes caramel is a real lifesaver. But you know what's better than candy? I don't know. Maybe even more candy.
Just look at her. Why is she sitting there, staring at us and not even greeting us?
It seems like she's pretending to be a lifeless doll, but in reality, she's watching us. That's much creepier.
Maybe we need to find a way to open the gate. Here's a button. We need to press 3 of them. It also says we can hide. Clearly, a dangerous trial awaits us.
Let's go. Look, she's coming down on her long braids. How does she even see anything with those eyes?
Oh no, let's hide quickly. We need to observe her from a safe place.
Let's climb higher. Maybe she won't see us.
Did you see her braids flashing past the room? I would hold my breath.
Let's not forget our main task. We still need to press 2 more buttons.
Good thing we looked around. It's always useful to check everything. There are many rooms here where we can hide, so this trial won't be too hard for us, especially with our experience.
I keep hearing her whispering. It's really unsettling.
The City of Beasts has always been a place where the most unusual events happened. But one of the strangest occurrences took place when the candy monster appeared. It all started when a new candy factory opened in our city. All the residents, especially the children, were thrilled. The factory promised the most delicious and unusual candies. But soon, strange things began to happen. The children complained that the candies started behaving strangely. They seemed to come to life and move. Things got even worse when a real monster, made of sweet treats, broke free from the factory.
This candy monster was terrifying. It was huge, with caramel eyes and lollipop teeth. Every time it stepped on the ground, the sound of cracking candy filled the air, and the atmosphere was filled with a sweet but unpleasant odor. It began to destroy everything in its path. Stores, homes, and even roads. Labrador and I had to intervene urgently. We started investigating what exactly caused the appearance of this monster. We found out that all the candies at the factory were made using experimental ingredients that gave them monstrous power, but also caused unusual mutations.
Dobie and I decided to act quickly. There was no time for a long investigation. We needed to stop the monster urgently. Using our skills and new technology, we managed to find its weak spot. Upon arriving at the factory, we discovered that, despite its terrifying appearance, the monster was actually vulnerable. All the candies that made up the monster were controlled by a single mechanism. We realized that if we disrupted this mechanism, the monster would disappear.
We decided to infiltrate the factory where the monster was created. It was dangerous, as each step could lead to further destruction. But Labrador and I acted swiftly and confidently. Soon, we found the most important part of the factory, a secret storage of the ingredients used to create these living candies. We destroyed the special machine that generated them and immediately began to notice the monster losing its strength. It started to shrink and disappear until it turned into a pile of regular candies.
When the candy monster vanished, the city was once again filled with peace and tranquility. The factory was closed, and all its dangerous ingredients were destroyed. Dobie and I returned to the station, reflecting on how unusual events can affect our city. We realized that sometimes even the most harmless things, like candies, can lead to real catastrophes. But thanks to our teamwork and skills, we managed to stop this threat.
After we defeated the candy monster, our city returned to normal life. Labrador and I understood that it's not only important to solve problems, but also to prevent them, so such disasters don't happen again. The city became safe again, and the children could once again enjoy their sweets without fear. But we always remembered this incident because, as strange as it sounds, candies might not be as harmless as they seem.
In our city of beasts, there has always been no shortage of unexpected events, but one day something truly unusual happened. It all began the day the circus came to town. Among the many attractions and shows was a huge toy store. All the little animals eagerly went there to pick out new toys. But by evening, Dobie and I received a strange call. A mysterious virus had infected the toy store, causing all the dolls in the shop to come to life. They began to move and speak, and some of them became aggressive, causing panic among the children and parents.
When we arrived at the scene, the situation was already under control, but the tension in the air was palpable. We saw the dolls in the shop's windows one by one, standing up and crawling out. Some of them looked friendly, but others, not so much. They started marching through the city, scaring the residents. It was clear that this virus, which had infected the toys, was far more serious than we had thought. Instead of delighting children, the dolls had become a threat to the whole community. Labrador and I immediately began our investigation.
It turned out that the virus that turned the toys into living beings was the result of an experiment by a scientist who once worked with circus dolls, trying to create robots that could mimic living creatures. He had accidentally created something that developed self-awareness. These dolls were no longer just toys. They began to think and make decisions. Some of them didn't like being mere toys for children, and they decided they needed more freedom.
Realizing that we were up against not just ordinary toys, but sentient beings, Labrador and I decided to proceed with caution. We started tracking the dolls' every movement, but they were too fast and agile. We needed to find a way to stop the virus that had brought them to life, or else they could take over the entire city. We set up special equipment to investigate how the virus worked, and soon discovered its source, a strange control panel hidden at the center of the toy store.
We quickly infiltrated the store, and with the help of special devices, we disabled the control panel. But, unfortunately, the virus had already spread so much that even without a control source, the dolls kept moving. However, when we activated the program to neutralize the virus, the dolls began to slow down and eventually stopped altogether. It felt like a miracle, but we knew that it wasn't just about defeating these animated toys. We also needed to figure out how to prevent similar incidents in the future.
Once all the dolls had returned to being just toys, Labrador and I went back to the station to assess the damage and analyze how we could prevent such situations. We realized that even the most harmless things, like dolls, can lead to big problems if they're not properly controlled. But the most important thing was that we had prevented a disaster and restored safety to the city.
That's it, friends. We finally defeated the evil doll queen. This battle was a real challenge. See you soon, friends. Guys, the Grumpy Gran almost caught me. Watch this video until the end to save me. Hi, friends. Today we found ourselves in a creepy place, the house of a grumpy grandmother. She not only locked us in here, but also set up numerous obstacles. The house looks cozy at first glance, but every corner hides dangers. It reminds me of Granny's house, only this one is even scarier.
Hello, everyone! Yes, Labrador, this grandma is a real trickster. She not only locked us in the house, but also turned it into a real trap. Every step requires utmost caution, as something unexpected could be lurking around every corner. This place is definitely not for the faint of heart.
On this property, there's another equally creepy house. It seems Grandma decided to double our troubles. Both houses are full of terrifying challenges, and we'll have to go through them to escape. These houses remind me of the famous Granny house, where every sound can give away your location, and every room is full of surprises.
This grandma is the meanest in the world. She's not going to let us go easily. Even if we get out of the houses, we'll face a final battle with her. We need to be ready for this. She clearly knows how to make us run. Grandma is not just grumpy, she has incredible cunning and malice.
But despite all her tricks, we won't give up. Every step we take brings us closer to freedom. We know we can overcome any obstacles she has put in our way. The main thing is to stay calm and focused. This situation requires our maximum concentration.
You're right, Labrador. We've already been through a lot, and this challenge won't be an exception. We'll keep moving forward despite all difficulties. Grandma might be devious, but our determination is stronger. This house may be full of secrets, but we'll uncover them all.
There are many secrets in this house, but we as real sheriffs know how to find a way out of any situation. We'll use everything we find to escape and defeat Grandma. It won't be easy, but we're ready. The house resembles a labyrinth with many hideouts and hidden passages that we need to figure out.
Yes, this adventure will stay with us for a long time, but we know we can handle it. Let's go, friends! New challenges await us, and we're ready for them. Grandma thinks she can stop us, but she doesn't know who she's dealing with.
Grandma's house is full of old toys, strange paintings, and secret doors. It seems like it has a life of its own. Sometimes you can hear the floorboards creak or doors slam, even when no one is around. The atmosphere here is just creepy, making our task even more thrilling.
We must be careful because in this house, every little thing could be a trap. Maybe Grandma has hidden keys or clues that will help us escape. We need to stay alert and use all our skills to avoid getting caught.
Gran is not only smart, but also very fast. She can appear at any moment, and we'll have to react quickly. We need to work as a team, support each other, and not lose faith in our success. This adventure demands our utmost courage and resourcefulness.
Together, we can overcome all obstacles. Grandma may be dangerous, but she won't stop us. Guys, what do you think of this Grandma? She looks a bit creepy to me. Her head is very big, just like the house itself. Labrador, we've already made it quite far. Guys, make sure to subscribe and like.
Make sure to subscribe and like. The second house, like the first one on the property, seems to hold even more dangers. Grandma clearly won't let us go without a fight. This house has long corridors leading to locked doors, behind which the answers to our questions might be hidden.
How can someone even make such a scary house? I wouldn't live here for anything. Creaking floorboards, cold wind seeping through the cracks in the walls, and sudden sounds that make your heart race. But we both know that behind any door might be the key to our freedom.
While we are running away from these scary monsters, by the way, who are they? What do you think, friends? Write your opinions in the comments. I think they are zombies. What do you say, Dobie? You think they are children kidnapped by this old woman? Well, I don't know, maybe you're right, but I hope not.
What else is on the property of her house? I don't understand how she can live here. It's very scary. Really very scary. Every one of your views makes us braver, but still, we shouldn't overdo it, because after all, We are not supermen. Labrador, can you tell them a story where we acted like real superheroes?
In our cozy animal town, life was peaceful and calm until rumors about a strange grandmother began to spread. She was short, with gray hair, and always wore a huge cardigan she knitted herself. She was often seen walking around the streets, and at first glance, she seemed like a regular old lady. But soon, strange things started happening. Children playing in the park or on the playground began to disappear. At first, one or two kids went missing, causing concern among parents. But when the number of missing children increased, the town was gripped by real panic.
Labrador and I immediately knew we had to act fast. As we began our investigation, we noticed one detail. The strange grandmother was always near the places where children disappeared. It was like she was watching them. We decided to keep an eye on her. After a few days, we saw her approach children, offering them candy and inviting them to her house for knitting lessons. The kids, unsuspecting, gladly followed her.
The plan was simple. We needed to enter the house pretending to be regular visitors and free the children. Dobie and I put on everyday clothes and headed to the grandma's house. She greeted us with a smile and invited us in, not suspecting our real purpose. The house was filled with knitted items, scarves, hats, sweaters, even cat toys. But the scariest part was in another room. There, sitting at small tables, the children were knitting. Their faces were tired and sad, and they worked without stopping.
We knew we had to act quickly and carefully. Waiting for the moment when the grandma went to another room, we hurried to the children and started freeing them. They were scared, but when they saw us, they knew rescue was near. We led the children out of the house and hid them in a safe place nearby. Meanwhile, the grandma discovered they were missing and started to panic. She was running around the house trying to find them.
We called for backup, and when the grandma tried to escape, she was quickly apprehended. She was arrested and charged with kidnapping and exploiting children. It turned out she was using the children to create her knitted items, which she then sold. We were happy we could save the children and prevent further kidnappings.
The children were returned to their families, and the town became peaceful again. Parents were endlessly grateful to us for saving their children. This incident showed that even behind the appearance of a harmless old lady, real danger could be lurking. We must always be vigilant and ready to protect our town from any threat.
This story was an important lesson for us. We realized that you can't always judge a person by their appearance. The children quickly recovered and returned to their normal lives. Now we continue to patrol the town to make sure something like this never happens again. We have increased security and pay more attention to all new residents.
The town returned to its usual life. The residents felt safe again, knowing we were always on guard. We continue our work, doing everything possible to make every resident feel protected. This story will remain in our memory as an example of how courage and determination can overcome any danger.
There's another very secret story, just for you friends. Last year, New Year's was nothing like we expected. We were all waiting for Father Frost with his gifts and joy. But instead, on the horizon appeared Granny Frost. At first, she seemed just as kind as her predecessor, but soon we noticed some strange things.
Yes, Labrador, this Granny Frost didn't bring joy. She took it away. She went from house to house collecting candies and sweets, and the gifts she brought were either broken or completely different from what the children had expected. She said she was doing this because she wanted to feel important, but her actions only caused pain.
We noticed something was off when we saw her enter one house and take all the candies off the tree. That was suspicious, and we realized we had to act. We started keeping an eye on her to figure out what she was up to.
Yes, we set a trap. We put some sweets on the table and left a few candies under the tree to lure her in. And sure enough, she came, and we caught her. She was surprised when we grabbed her, but then she told us everything.
It turned out Granny Frost used to be Father Frost. She had lost her magic, and to feel important again, she decided to take away joy from people, not realizing that it was wrong. She thought this would help her regain her power.
We explained to her that real magic isn't about taking from others, but about giving joy. We told her how Father Frost brings happiness to children, and Granny Frost could help decorate homes and make gifts with her own hands. Instead of destroying, she could create.
After that, she changed. We helped her regain her magic, but not the old magic of taking, but the new magic of giving joy. Granny Frost started making toys for children, helping decorate Christmas trees, and even organizing parties for everyone.
Now, New Year's became a holiday for all. Granny Frost no longer took joy. She made it available to everyone. Together with Father Frost and Granny Frost, we created the most magical New Year anyone could ever imagine.
And so, our adventure in the house of that wicked grandma has come to an end. We managed to get through all her traps and finally find the way out. It was tough, but with your support and our strength, we made it.
Yes, Labrador, it was a real challenge, but as always, we didn't give up. Thanks to everyone who was with us. We proved that with teamwork and determination, we can overcome any obstacle. And the grandma, she just couldn't stop us.